going on, everyone? Welcome to an edition of Victory Life Legacy Spotlight. I'm your host, owner, and founder of Victory Life, Dwight Vick. And today I have another guest joining the show, someone I've known for a long time, have a lot of respect for. Something different tonight as we record this episode, someone that's going to give you a different perspective. I have, make sure I get this right, senior quality engineer, Kimberly Johnson. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good. Very
That's
good to be
great.
here.
I'm glad to have you here. So this has been a long time coming. You and I have been talking about this for 3 months, my schedule, your schedule, football games, and I appreciate you joining me because it's hard when you have football, family, and other things you're involved in. So, many people know you as Lauren Johnson's wife. And one thing, being married myself, my wife, Shanice, we have
Mhm.
great conversations. The Virgo mind, Virgos are outspoken. We're gonna tell you how I feel, and I'm gonna give you my perspective. But I
Yeah,
wouldn't be
yeah.
I wouldn't be sitting here without her giving me her perspective. And the one thing she talks to me about how even successful women within the context of a relationship or marriage have an identity, and sometimes it can be lost or overshadowed depending on their roles. And many times people say, oh, well, she's a mother of three or she works here. And there's a versatility to your lifestyle. So I'm going to
hmm
start this episode off. I want you to let us right now know. Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you from, and who is Kimberly Johnson.
Okay, well, hi everyone. I'm Kimberly Johnson, born and raised in Windsor, Connecticut. Um, got to Virginia about 24 years ago. Went to grad school at Virginia Tech. So let me just backtrack. I went to Eastern Connecticut State University, obtained my degree in psychology. I was a double major in psychology, English, and then wanted to get out of there, wanted to leave, just do something different. And I feel like the Lord led me to Virginia Tech. That wasn't really where I wanted to be. I wanted to be in a city. So I wanted to be in Chicago, right? And so I got accepted to grad school at Loyola University in Chicago, was ready for it. My best friend at the time put me on to Virginia Tech. I never heard of it. Didn't know anything about it, but they were offering, free education for, a cohort. And so I applied just to, have a backup. And I had to go down to Virginia Tech to apply for the program. So when I did that, on the way down there, the Lord was like, this is it. This is where you need to be. Like clear as day. And I've never heard God speak at all, ever,
Wow.
that clearly in my life. And
Wow.
he said some other things to me, personal things to me that were very, very, very serious, but that was one of them. And so I cried because I'm like, this ain't it. Like, I was going down 81 and I saw cows and I'm like, this is exactly where I don't want to be, right? So, but once I got down there, interviewed, it was so clear to me that that's where I was supposed to be. Clear. So, got there, and I would say within a month of actually moving in, that was like late July. I met Lauren. So it didn't take any time from me meeting him. I met him, and it was like it's a wrap from there. That's another
Really?
story. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So been in Virginia ever since. Right. We decided not to stay in Blacksburg. We went up to Northern Virginia for about 5.5 years. And from there, we knew that we were meant to be somewhere else. Like that area, that time had run its course. And we said, we prayed about it. And, Lauren really wanted to be in he just wanted to work with young Black men, period.
Yeah, no
Like
doubt.
that's what he was called to do, and young men in general, because we had we interfaced with great families and great people of different, ethnicities in Northern Virginia. So we love the diversity of Northern Virginia, but we felt like we were called to be somewhere else. And so that job opened up, and we've been in Richmond ever since. And this is
You know,
where we raised our kids and all of the things.
Hey, listen, so you take me back down memory lane because I remember that like it happened yesterday. So Lauren LJ is what I call him. I met him on
Mm-hmm.
his recruiting visit and we hit it off right away, man. He was so confident and he had a bunch of offers. And I remember he said, if I come here, I'm going to start. I was looking at him like, bro, what? And I remember meeting him with both Virgos. our birthdays are a few days apart. Everyone around Virginia knows it. Many people think I went to Highland Springs because how hard I ride for, because I always talk about LJ and just what he's done. And Lauren said to him, he has the article, if he still does, when he came up to Northern Virginia to interview for the Stonewall Jackson, now called Unity Reed High School, he pretty much, interviewed and he had the job. So he stayed, I believe he came and stayed with me and Shanice for a day or two. I know he came up. And we were living in Fairfax. And he said, Dwight, I don't know if you remember. But you prophesized my whole life. I said, what? He said, yeah. He said, it was an article you had and that he was in it or whatever. And I talked about, I could see Lauren being a successful championship level coach. I'm paraphrasing, but I know I said that. And then what we talked about was YOU. He said, wait till you meet Kim, man. You won't love her. And he was talking to me and my wife, Shanice, and we were just sitting there. We didn't even have kids yet, but I remember being so proud. And then God bless you both, man. When I met you, I was like, oh yeah, I get it. And it was perfect. And since then we would see you because, Shanice went to Stonewall. She was a track star there.
Right.
So I would see you at the games. And then we started having children around the same time.
Yep.
Now, with that being said, you talk about going to Richmond. When you get to Highland Springs, to me, it was a perfect storm. I mean, the urban area, Lauren went there. Highland Springs already had a great tradition.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about his story. His story is well documented. Yeah. Behind the scenes, how did you know you were ready to start a family, and how was the transition for you?
You mean transition from Northern Virginia to Richmond?
Yeah.
So honestly, I think because first of all, I was so in love with him. I was so enamored about my husband. We wanted a family now. So yeah, we didn't want to wait. We were so excited to start our family. We were so excited to start that process. So, it was, we were young and very emotional, to be honest with you, because in hindsight, we were like, dang, we should have waited and took our time a little bit with it. We didn't have too many people in our ear talking to us, mentoring us through that. So, we were just wilding out and we just had kids immediately, So, it is what it is. And it's been a blessing, but, that's the one thing that I can say that we're like, dang, like we should have waited just to learn each other more, because we didn't, and we may talk about this a little bit more, but once I got married to Lauren, first of all, I didn't know anything about football. Like football was not a part of my life in Connecticut. I had no knowledge of it. Again, I didn't know about Virginia Tech at all. In the history, the legacy, everything that y'all did. I didn't see him play.
And you didn't even know about Lauren and what he meant to Virginia Tech as far as that play that changed the trajectory of Virginia Tech. You had no idea about that.
No idea, no clue.
Amazing.
No clue.
Amazing.
And so there was no connection there for me. And so we got married. I was in grad school. He was working for Coach Gentry, right? Just conditioning. He was in school. We were very, very busy, but still making time for each other. So I guess I had no idea. And so once we got married, I was shocked about the amount of time and the amount of responsibility that he had to focus on on just being a coach. But and so that caused a lot of turmoil in our relationship, to be honest with you. It was hard. It was hard because he was so young. He was a young Black coach at Stonewall Jackson at the time. He was only 25.
Yep.
And so, it was a lot he was going through. Then we were, you get married, you becoming one. We're learning each other. We didn't live together prior to. So it was a lot of growth, and it was a lot of arguments. It was rough. The first year was hell. The first year was hell. He'll tell you that. But the transition from Northern Virginia, to go back to your question, Northern Virginia to Richmond, I think we were just tired. We were tired of that life. And I think we knew we're so similar, and we're so different, but we're very similar in the way that we think and the things that we want. The foundational things we're very much alike on, even though we handle things differently, right? So I think we both just wanted more. And I mean, literally, I was leaving Gainesville, going to Chantilly, and it would take me an hour and a half to get to work.
Absolutely, it did. I know.
And I wasn't used to that. And so I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And so he was feeling the same way for other reasons and really wanting and desiring to be like, somewhere else and do something different. And most people are like, how do you leave Northern Virginia and go to Richmond and like it more? But I feel like because we were called to be there, it was easy for us. It wasn't something that just came about and a new offer and we just said, okay, we'll take it, and it's just a means to an end. We felt like that's what we needed to be, because when we went there for the interview, it was like, this is it. We knew. So
When you talking about you knew, and I get it. I mean, I remember that time. I will tell you this, and I've talked about this on Facebook and different platforms. Shanice and I were understanding and knew why you left. I was also sad because Lauren's my brother.
Yeah.
And what he's doing for the Springers, I knew he could do at Stonewall, now Unity Reed. I knew he could do it there, and he was close. He took a team that was winless.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was the second coach in school history. And he came in right away and got new uniforms, changed the culture. He was demanding the teachers and administrators give progress reports. He got helped a lot of kids get into college, like he does at Highland Springs, where Chris Garrett, Thigpen, Ryan Williams, and many more, right? Mm-hmm. But there was some backlash because that was new to that side of the county at the time. They weren't all fully embracing him.
Right.
And I understood why he left, and I respected it. When you talk about that time, you both are men and women of faith. Mm-hmm. You talked about how God ordered your steps to Virginia Tech. Did you guys talked about how hard it was and it was rough. Was that also a decision made on faith?
What?
Moving to Northern Virginia, or was it just moving from Northern Virginia to Richmond? Were you burnt out, or was it like, we're going to pray on it and make a decision about Monday?
Moving, no, we weren't that bad off.
Okay.
Like every decision that we've made, I can honestly say that we have prayed about it and we feel like we've been led to do it. The major stuff. I'm not going to say everything that we've done, we've been so perfect and went to God for it, because that's not the truth. Mm-hmm. For those major moves, yes, we did. We absolutely did. And it's worked in our favor,
Yeah.
It's worked in our favor. And okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I want to hear it. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and we've made decisions, like prayerfully made decisions not to go, not to leave Highland Springs, not to leave Richmond, for better opportunities, for more money, for a better role, because we didn't feel like we were released from being here yet. Mm-hmm. So it's both ways. We were in a hard situation in Northern Virginia. He was in a hard situation, but it wasn't so bad that we just had to leave. We needed to be like led by the Lord, because we know if we just left, it would have been even harder for us, because now we're out of the will of God. Mm-hmm. And so in the same respect, you know what I mean? Like we just, that's how we got to Richmond, basically. That's just how we got. So
you talked about how y'all were like eager, y'all were so in love, and there was a passion and purpose with you both. Listen, I'm a licensed therapist. I just finished doing some couples therapy just now. I got my own practice, Victory Life, and I do a lot of different things in the community. I've been married 24 years, been with Shanice 28 years total. Wow. And my parents have been married 50 plus years. Her parents have been married 50 plus years. But with that being said, there's always a learning curve. There's a life lesson to be learned. You were very transparent a few minutes ago about how it was rough and y'all went through hell and there was arguments. I love the transparency. Yeah. Talk a little bit about, though, when you start bringing kids into the mix. Because when you bring kids into the mix, I can't relate to childbirth except making sure Shanice was supported. I did not do what you and her did. Yeah. And whether you give birth or you adopt, once you become a mother and a father, it's a game changer. It's a blessing, but it is a newfound responsibility. I'm not even talking about when your three kids became athletes. I'm talking about motherhood. I'm talking about what I've learned from my own wife and other mothers I've counseled or befriended and talked to, and especially in a modern day era. where it
Yeah.
seems like y'all never get a break. And this is not to be negative or like, oh my God, this is a venting session. I want to know how you do it. How did you do it? And what lessons did you learn along the way? Because there is no handbook.
There is no handbook. And I'll say this again, no one that I know had this type of lifestyle. So I didn't have friends who had husbands or dads who were coaches or who were even athletes. So my friends would look at me like, "Yo, this is crazy," and that's why, because I felt, and I used to always say this, like I feel like a single mother, and I'm like, this is not fair, and you didn't prepare me for this because we're having babies, we wanna start our family, but where are you at? You still at Stonewall. It's 8:30. It's 9 o'clock at night, and so it's super isolating. I'm gonna say that number one. It's super isolating because there's not a lot of people that understand what you're going through. How did I do it? I don't know. You just go on autopilot, to be honest with you, and you just do what needs to be done. You love your children, so you're gonna do everything that you need to do to make sure that they're taken care of. Whatever he couldn't do, and I mean he did. I mean he was still a father and still a husband, right? So not bashing him, but
no, yeah.
That season, and that was a long season of our lives, years upon years. I mean, it wasn't 50-50, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. But you just do it. And I think over the years of conversation, of sitting down and explaining, because I don't think that innately he understood. Like, he saw it, he saw that I was exhausted. He experienced that when he got home, but he was also exhausted and he was also going through his own thing. So sometimes it's hard to even meet people where they are because you got your own stuff going on. Mm-hmm. So it called for a lot of conversation. And I think for me, that's therapeutic for me. Mm-hmm. Sitting down and talking to him and saying, hey, Lauren, like, this is what's happening. This is what I'm doing. I need for you to be more present. It got to the point, and this was a huge help in that season, especially at Stonewall and even the beginning years at Highland Springs, just being more a part of what he's doing. Mm. So he started to invite me into his world. So we weren't living separately anymore. I mean, obviously we were living together, but I'm working. I've always been a full-time mother, right? I mean, a full-time, worker. I've never been a stay-at-home mom. So I'm working. So after my 9 to 5, I'm getting off at 4:30. Then a whole new role comes about. Yeah. And so in that, we're trying to figure out how do we navigate this thing so we can be successful, so that what we once had, we can continue to have. The love that we have, the passion that we have for each other, that doesn't go away in the midst of kids, in the midst of all of the changes and the turmoil that we're going through from day to day. And so he invited me into his world more. So I started to go to Stonewall. I started to hang out with him. I started to be around his coaches. I started to talk to them and get to know them. I started to talk to him about what I was observing and what I was seeing. So I learned how to be more supportive to him, which in turn, he was able to be more supportive with me. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. You got engaged actively in what was going on with him to actually indirectly and directly connect you and him more.
Yeah. And I didn't want to, but I didn't, because I wasn't interested, because I was so consumed with the kids, with Braylon and Brennan. But I learned quickly that I have to do something, because we can't keep on going this way.
So when you say that, and looking at Michelle Obama, I remember she was in a talk show, it was a reputable talk show. She was promoting her book, and she talked about for 10 years, and I'm paraphrasing, but I remember she said about 10 years, she had some resentment towards her husband, President Obama, because she's like, girl, here I am, with the girls at home, and he's out here campaigning and rubbing elbows and at the golf course, and I'm sitting here with these girls. And I actually bought her book, and I learned a lot about it. She talked about just the challenges of working and also making sure she had her voice and also her dream. Now, you have a great career. when you talk about your profession, how did you stay connected to your own career goals, to being there? You got more included, involved in the coaching and talking to LJ and talking to his players. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to say you were a teen mom because you were way more than that, but you still had your
Yes.
own. What was your vision for yourself? Because I say this as a therapist and as someone that sees this on a daily. I feel like sometimes you want to be there for your spouse, you want to be there for your children, and you usually are there, but you still have some goals, right? Some things you want to do. How did you stay connected and assertive in that aspect?
Honestly, career wise, I was in a very odd, different position because I'm working, I'm getting everything done. But my job or my career was just that. And so honestly, I was using the school, I was using the football players, I was using, the students at Stonewall at the time and at Highland Springs to fill the void of my real goals. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so because I've always wanted to work with young adults, I've always wanted to work with students in some capacity. My degree is in educational leadership and policy studies. So, I wanted to do like the student affairs at the university level. And so working with like, first year, first generation college students, things of that nature. So to be honest, once I got myself together emotionally and I started to become more a part of what he was doing, I started to be able to say, you know what, this is filling a void that I can't get where I'm working right now.
Mm.
Still growing in my career, getting new opportunities. It was cool, and you have goals there. So I'm meeting the goals, but it's still not filling a void until I started to become more connected. That and then with church, and it's the same to this day. I teach the teens at our church.
Oh,
So yeah,
okay.
I teach the teens. I'm one of the leaders at our church, and I teach, and that's my everything right there. That's my bread and butter in my opinion. I don't get paid for it, but it's something that I'm super passionate about. Just connecting and building relationships with our youth. Being there for them in the hardest of times. Establishing a relationship so that they can trust me so that I can impact their lives, in a positive way. Because sometimes they don't have that, even if they have mom and dad in the house.
No doubt.
So that has become a lot for me. And the same goes for some of the football players on the team. And I mean, that's a little different. I have to be careful of that because they're young men with my relationships with them, but there are some of them that I can become more personal with than others. So
No doubt.
yeah.
You talked about how you really loved LJ. Like, I don't want to say it was love at first sight, but you talked about how you just fell in love with the man and you guys connected instantly and you built this life together. Well,
Mm-hmm.
without one thing, I'm going to say this right now. This is just my personal professional opinion.
Okay.
When it comes to this component, I feel like no successful team can win a championship and no marriage can reach its full potential, and that's accountability.
Mm.
How do you hold each other accountable? Because here it is, this guy's a 5-time state champion. He has put numerous guys, not only in the college, but the NFL.
Yeah.
He has a staff that's elite, and he has so many people that rely on him as the face of the community. He's held in high regard. Many
Mm-hmm.
coaches around Virginia and even the DC and Maryland area know him. He's a household name. When
Yeah.
Lauren goes out, he speaks to everybody. Hey, how you doing? How you doing? But he doesn't know everything, right? Because
Right.
you see stuff that he may not see.
Right.
Two-part question. How do you hold him and how do y'all hold each other accountable? And are y'all receptive to it?
Okay. So for us, we had to learn very quickly. We had to learn about partnership very quickly
Mm.
because we're alone in this. Like, I mean, we have a lot of people around us that care for us, but it's really only the 5 of us. We don't have aunts, uncles, grandparents at all around us. So we've had to really rely on each other. And I think we learned quickly that if we're not like I'm a straight shooter, especially with him, you know.
Good.
I protect him, you know, and I mean I'm a wife, but I'm the type of person that, you know, I want to protect him. I want to make sure emotionally and mentally he's okay, because I know he goes through a lot. So I need to be a sounding board, you know, for him. But I think the most important thing that we've done is just we have committed to being honest with each other at all times. Has it always been, have we always been receptive? Has he always been receptive to me? No, not at all. And that's the truth. I think that with maturity, like we've just seen so much growth. You know, it's never been perfect from day one, but because I would tell him stuff, especially about people, especially about the people in even in his organization, you know, who don't have the best intentions. And that's very hard. It's hard because I'm with this person. He's saying I'm with this person all the time. I know them. I don't know him. But then, and so for me, I'm like, okay, you know, I'm just letting you know what I see. You know how we are. You know, your wife is the same way.
Yes, she is.
And it's like, I'm just gonna let you learn, but I'm gonna continue to, you know, very gently remind you and show you and point things out to you. So when I have done that, initially it was like non-receptive. But over time, I think he's learned to trust me and to trust that I know what I'm talking about. And I may see things that he can't see because he's in it. And so, and vice versa. But yeah, that's how we hold each other accountable. I think just being honest with each other at all times, you know, even when it hurts. And Lauren is brash. Like Lauren is, I mean, I call myself a straight shooter. Lauren, I was very soft. Again, from Connecticut, went to private school, all the way through college is my first public institution, okay?
No doubt, no doubt.
Only child, you know, it was an easy life.
Yeah.
Met Lauren Johnson, and and I mean he can be rough, you know. He doesn't sugarcoat at all. And so I've had to become tougher as a result of that. But it's made me trust him because I know that whatever he's saying, at least I know he's being honest. And I know that his intentions are always good. I know he loves me. So whatever he's saying, okay, he may need to frame it a little differently, but I've learned to trust him over the years too, and know that, you know, whatever comes is because it's out of love. So yeah.
Yeah, no, he is very brash, and I love that about him. I mean, he's always been that way. I mean, you know, you know, you've been to his area, you know where he's from.
Yeah.
I mean, Dade County, where he's from. I remember when me and him got real close, excuse me, the year we played in the Orange Bowl in '96, man, I went down there. We all went down as a team. We lost to Nebraska, but I spent a lot of time with him at his parents' house. And me, him, and Jamel Smith, Pearson Prayler, who's now the safeties coach at Virginia Tech, and Tony Joe, we all went to Popeyes nearby. Lauren said, "Hey, man, lock your doors." And we didn't lock the door. We came out, all 4 doors were open. So he had to be brash, but that's also his temperament. That's his personality.
For sure.
You know, are you comfortable, Kim, when you go out and talk about Lauren being a celebrity, but, you know, you being his partner, you know, you're right there, the first lady of Highland Springs. Are you comfortable when you go to a grocery store or like people watching you in the church? Because you're a prominent member of the community. Some women and men aren't comfortable with that. You talked about how you matured, both of y'all. Were you okay? Are you okay now with people recognizing you like, hi, I don't know your name, but hello. Are you okay with that?
I don't mind it. I mean, I like people. So that doesn't bother me at all.
Okay.
I don't want to interview and all of that. I don't want to be in front of the camera necessarily, but no, I mean, I'm used to it. Like every time we go out, we go to Walmart, we at Target, we're at a restaurant. Somebody's going to say something. Somebody's going to know him. I'm just used to it. And you know, it's no big deal. And I mean, the same goes for the kids. Everybody knows my kids.
Yes, they do.
I'm Brennan's mother, Peanut's mom, I'm Braylon's mom, I'm Kendall's mom, I'm Lauren's wife. So, you know, it is what it is. So it doesn't bother me. I don't think anything of it.
What about that? I'm so glad you brought that up because you talked about people have something to say.
Yeah.
Lauren is not active on social media. I am.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I
Mm-mm.
text him. He hears about stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, over the last 15 years, you had the emergence of Twitter, Facebook groups,
Yeah.
podcasts. There's a lot of people with opinions. When you're winning, everyone loves you. When you lose, there's a lot of opinions. There's people that really get personal.
Yeah.
They talk. I mean, it's a tough job. I coach not at the level of Lauren, but I've coached off and on for years.
Mm-hmm.
And even on a local level, smaller level, I've received it. But Lauren is a face of a program, and there are people, you lose a tough one to Verina. People forget about the previous 5 state championships. People got
Yeah.
opinions. You need to do this. I've always been curious about this with you and Lori Mans and
Mm-hmm.
wife of Troy Mans that have kids that or a child that plays sports. Do you strategically sit around people, or do you kind of stay on that face you make? Do you stay? And I don't know. You're not in the NFL. There's no suite, but how do you
Right.
watch games? Because people, I mean, I've heard it myself. How do you handle that? Because you got to have thick skin and also not turn around. Because if you say something, it's a wrap. It becomes a story.
Well, thankfully, the times that because I have turned around before. I have
Oh,
had and, arguments, altercate not physical altercations, of course,
yeah.
but I have gone back and forth. Again, that's me protecting my husband. Y'all can be upset about the game and how we're playing. That's cool, but to be nasty or disrespectful and say something specifically about my husband, that it used to be very triggering to me, and it still bothers me. I wouldn't be being honest if I said it doesn't, or it didn't, because it does. I don't hear much about him personally, but I know that people are talking. People come back to me and tell me things all the time. um when we first started out, I had a few altercations with people in the stands. They could care less that and they knew who I was, but they could care less that I was in the stands. They had
Wow.
respect for the fact that I was there, and that's my husband. So I ended up on the sideline. I ended up on the track. And I would
Mm-hmm.
take my chair and I would sit on the track because I needed to remove myself, because I have my child with me. At the time, I just had Braylon. And I'm like, I can't do this. People are really ignorant, and it's really causing me to be completely in my flesh. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. And I wasn't mature enough at the time to just let it roll off. It really, it impacted me, and I was just hot headed. And so when we transitioned to Highland Springs, I kind of did the same thing. I was on the track, and I would just stay there to stay away. Today, I don't do that. I'm in the stands. Now, I do sit away from people. And for some reason, the kids have migrated towards me. Like,
Really?
yes, like the JV players, they'll sit with me, and I'm like, what in the world? Why are y'all right here? This is my space. And then they'll talk, we'll talk and stuff like that. So it's cool, but I don't sit too much near the everybody else. I sit kind of away from everybody in my own little world. And so me and other coaches' wives have kind of sat together and away from everybody, just to keep the issues at a minimum. So, but the things that people say, they don't bother me like they used to. It was a lot worse back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's always hard when you first get there, but I've always wondered that, man, because it's kind of like I grew up a preacher's kid, and I
Mm.
remember, I thank God for my childhood, the challenges as well as the successes. But like I remember, growing up in the church, the AME denomination, we moved around a lot to different churches, and at first it was cool in the beginning, but then if your dad preaches too long, or he makes a tough decision, or he comes in and changes the culture, man, people will talk right in front of you about your dad, and it
They
got
will.
my sister and I got closer, but it was hard at times because I'm like LJ, where I'll say what I need to say. I'm not afraid of any kind of confrontation, but
Right.
there's a challenge because I'm also representing my mom and my dad, and the
Yep.
perception of preacher's kid can't say that because then you give into the stereotype that they're all bad or whatever. So It was hard at first. It was very difficult. I remember at one time my dad was thinking about moving up here and taking the church up here. And I remember saying, please don't. He was like, why not? And I finally told him, we had never talked about it. I said, I don't want to experience that again, even though I'm in my 30s. I don't want to go through that again. I don't regret anything I went through, as I'm proud of my father. But it was nice to be a member of a church and just be Dwight Vick. Yeah. And not Reverend Vick's son. It got hard, which is why I'm doing this episode on you, because your story is unique because you've seen all aspects. You've seen the growth, which segues me into my next question. That first state championship at UVA, I was there. Me and Shanice were there. She got a video. Shanice don't even pull out her phone, but she pulled out her phone to LJ. And Lauren, you know, I remember Greg Deutsch and those guys and Wallace and Makai Becton. That was a legendary team. Oh, yeah. We went to 2 games. So we went to the semifinals. And that's when Isaiah, my son, you know Isaiah very well. He's like your son, Peanut. They're like distant cousins. They're kindred spirits. They are. They are. I'm telling you, they just like. And I remember I was sitting there with my wife. We were in the end zone. And y'all had the food trucks and things. And for the few times in my life, one of the few times in my life, Isaiah and Mookie, Reggie Sammy, who now coaches at Riverbend, his sons were there. And they were quiet. And I looked down. They had the fish. The fish y'all sell, that fried fish. Yeah. And the container, and me and Mookie were eating it too. I said, this might be, I'm from the 757. I said, this might be the best fish. Then I caught Isaiah over there looking at the cheerleaders and the dance girls. And he was just locked in. I said, oh yeah. And he was in middle school back then. But on a serious note, I watched y'all beat Indian River. Yeah. And y'all have been close before. Even at Stonewall, you lost to Hilton in the state semi. So I've seen the progression. And then you finally get to that state championship game. And I never forget, it lives rent-free in my head where LJ, when they know they got the game, he sprints up the sideline like this. Yeah. And he's emotional. For sure. You won that game with him, though, because you were right there. Just take me back to where you were at and what you felt. Because it always feels good when someone you love achieve that dream, because you're right there with them. You won that game too, along with the players, the assistants. Yeah. But what was that like? That first one was the most special. You know, I think for me, it was just a sense of so much pride, and it was just a buildup of emotion because there was so much. You finally saw all the time, all the effort, all the sacrifice. Like, this is what we're sacrificing it for. Is this moment, you know, and obviously beyond, because it's an amazing moment. But to be honest with you, Dwight, like, seeing them then go to college and go, you know what I'm saying, and now in the NFL, those are even better moments, to be honest with you. Yes. But it was just an overwhelming sense of pride in him, because I know what he's capable of, you know, and it was just brewing though. And we were literally waiting for it to happen. And so when it happened, it was like, finally it's here. Yes. And so just so happy for him, so grateful to be a part of it, to be a part of that. That team was special. The people on that team are special, and they still are. Like, they're great young men. And so to do it with a body of kids that you love and that are just good humans, I think made it even better, because they were bought into him. Yeah. They bought into him. That was his team. They bought into, you know, everything that he was serving. They were picking up, and they were ready to do whatever they had to do for him, for the other coaches, and for each other. And I think that's rare. I think it's rare to be a part of something like that. I mean, there are a lot of people that win games, that win state championships, but they were so unselfish. The group was so unselfish. So I think those things made it even better. Better. Yeah. Yeah, and then all of a sudden you wake up, your kids, your sons are being coached by Lauren. I gotta ask, I can't wait to ask this question. Oh, Lord. How in the world did y'all manage that? Because listen, I know your husband that's my brother. I know him. And I know where he's from. We talked about that earlier. And he's from arguably one of the hottest states when it comes to talent, football.
Yeah.
Football is a religion in Florida, like Texas and California, and even in Virginia. But Florida has always been the mecca, right?
For sure.
And Lauren is a guy that he puts a lot of pressure on himself. So, and he is a very involved father, as you are a very involved mother. And we talk a lot. We talked earlier about work-life balance and life lessons and learning. How did y'all manage that? Because I remember, because when our kids, your two sons and my son Isaiah, we used to see each other in the spring at the track meets. They all ran track. Sometimes they ran in the same heat.
Right.
And y'all were like, yeah, they're coming into high school. I said, you gonna coach them? And Lauren was like, Lauren said, who else gonna coach them, Dwight? And I said, all right. And I was like, how y'all gonna do that? Was it hard? Was it any, hey, babe, practice is over? Or did you guys adjust? How did that happen? Just speak on it. Let me know.
Okay, so was it hard? No, it wasn't. It wasn't hard.
Okay.
They may say, and I'll say this, personality wise, my two boys are very different. So Braylon is going to do what you tell him to do, and that's it. So it's easy. Brennan is a different monster.
Yeah.
You know, Brennan questions everything. Brennan knows everything. So because he knows everything, he's questioning his daddy. He's questioning Coach Simmons, who's the defensive coordinator who directly, coaches him. And it's a lot. So Brennan would come home a lot complaining about, different things. I don't know why they doing this and that and that was the hard thing. And I'm like, Brennan, just talk to your father, ask him questions, go talk to, your coaches and try to figure out, or offer, your advice. And he was like, I'm a kid, you know what I'm saying? My advice doesn't matter. I'm just supposed to do what they say. So I'm like, well, just do what they say then. Make it easy for yourself. So that's just his personality. That was really the hardest part of it. I think being a coach's kid in general is a lot.
Yes.
Remember, we live in Verina. My kids went to Highland Springs.
I know about it.
So, we're amongst a group of people who are literally our rivals.
Yes.
So the kids, even Kendall gets, she gets a lot of flack from people. So I think that was harder than even him coaching them, because he wasn't directly coaching them ever. Because they played defense and he was, on the offensive side. He was concerned about, special teams, quarterbacks, all of that. So he was doing that. So he tried to be as hands off as possible, not to ruin their experience. But, so it wasn't so bad. It really wasn't.
I'm glad to hear that, because I never really asked y'all that. And, I know y'all were going to handle it, but I know for other coaches' sons, they talk about how there was good days or tough days, or my dad was the hardest on me. And I forgot y'all lived in Verina, which, by the way, the Verina Highland Springs, easily one of the toughest and most intense rivalries in the state. I know I had Coach Marcus on this podcast back in the early fall, and he was great. And I know Verina got the best of Highland Springs recently, but I mean, that rivalry is so intense. And it's personal. A lot of those kids know each other. Yeah. And I forgot y'all lived amongst the enemy, so to speak. So that's crazy. Well, how about Kendall? Having a dad that's, a leader in the community, and then two older brothers who are prominent athletes and both playing on Division I level scholarships. How did she kind of take on her role, and how did you make sure she wasn't overshadowed?
That's a great question. She is and has been, to a certain extent, a huge priority, because she's the only girl. She runs track. She's the baby. So you have a father who has been successful. You have two brothers who have been successful. And so for her challenges are a little different, because there's a lot of comparison. Even when people don't mean to compare her in a negative way, they may think it's encouraging her. But for her, your brothers did X, Y, and Z.
Exactly.
They D1 football players doing this, doing that. Why? What about you, Kendall? And it's like it puts pressure on her. She has her own goals. She wants to run in college too. But that has been very difficult for her, is the comparison with her brothers. Now, her dad, she loves being in school with him. You know, she gets preferential treatment. So she's spoiled. She's spoiled. So she, you know, they hang out together, they spend time together. So for her, she loves that. She loves that people know who he is and that he's, you know, he's Coach Johnson, you know.
Yeah.
It makes her proud. She's proud of that. So that is cool. But I think she's over football. I can tell you that.
Really?
Over it. Over
What?
it. Because
What?
I think it's been hard because again, it's just us here. And when the kids were growing up, it's like, I'm not, you know, we would split up and do what we needed to do to get it done, right? But in a lot of times I was with her with track. But I'm not allowing her as a mom to just go with anybody while we're over here. So we're doing things together. And a lot of the times, because she's so young, she's going along with us to
Okay.
7-on-7s, to, you know, camps, all the things. So it's been a lot for her. You know, it's been a lot for her. She's older now, so she can, you know, go kind of do her thing, stay home, all of that. But, you know, for a long time, it wasn't like that. So, you know, but yeah, I think the comparison with her and her brothers has been probably the most challenging for her. And she's had to sift through that and kind of, you know, tune out the noise a little bit.
Yeah, I see that, you know, even with Lauren, she's the youngest and she's starting to come into her own. It's pretty cool, but you have an older sister, Sydney, and then Isaiah, who is the life of the party. And then,
Yes.
you know, Lauren is kind of like, I get on them. They're like, oh, you baby, you protect Lauren. I'm like, yeah. They always get mad at me. Like, of
Yep.
course, Lauren can do no wrong. And I'm like, that's your sister. Y'all take care of her.
That's right.
Let me ask you this, man. Me and Shanice, we love your family. And a lot of people love your family. I mean, we've essentially, in a lot of ways, through adulthood, grown up together. And, you know, I got to ask you this, man. Peanut. I've interviewed him once, him and his brother on the podcast, along with their dad, Lauren. And I remember you and we were at the spring game, and y'all told me Peanut was just different. He's a lot like Isaiah. Recently, he had a good game. He got in. I forgot it might have been against California on a Friday night. He had a tackle, caused a fumble, but California recovered it.
Yep.
Tech won that game in overtime. And I remember after the game, and Shanice has a way of finding him on every TikTok or interview with Virginia Tech because he finds the camera.
He does. He does.
Yeah, he in the post game interview, he was doing a dance. And he was just dancing. I'm like, I mean, he enjoys life. Just talk about him and then your other two children. Who do they take personality? Like, who are they like? Are they a blend? And where does Peanut get that from? Because, I mean, your kids are great athletes, but Peanut is just, again, like I'm not trying to make it the Peanut and Isaiah show, but they just find the camera. They're charismatic. They're entertaining. And they get the most out of life. Where's that come from? Is that you? Is that Lauren? Like,
so I'll say first and foremost, Brennan is who he is. He is his own person. But in the household, everybody will agree that he's his mother's child.
oh,
Like, he acts like me in a lot of ways. He is. I'm loud and I like to have fun. I'm a goofball on a regular basis. Lauren's not goofy. Lauren is serious, you know. He can be playful, but that's not his temperament, you know. He's kind of business. But me, that's we troll all day. Brennan gets, and so when Brennan left in the spring to go to Virginia Tech, that was a huge that was a huge absence from my heart because, you know, he's the person that I kind of like did that with. You know what I mean? Kendall is her dad. She definitely has his personality. So, I mean, we have a good time. That's like that's my girl. But she is her father. And then Braylon is a good mix between both of us. You know, Braylon's 20 now. Like, he's in grad school.
That's
crazy. So I know it's crazy. Braylon, it's interesting, that dynamic, because he is the stereotypical, you know, first child. In that, you know, he kind of leads his siblings. He acts like, Kendall always says, Braylon's like my dad. you know. He's going to tell me what's right and wrong. He'd be on the phone with her, coaching her up, talking to her about, situations that she's going through, trying to, help her through that. And so he's a good blend of the both of us. And he is like becoming a friend. It's very interesting. Like that we have established a friendship that is really unexplainable, to be honest with you. And we've always been very close, but I can see the dynamic of our relationship changing. Brennan and I also just becoming, I was scared that when they left, it would be harder. Like the relationship would suffer, but it hasn't. Like we've gotten very, very close. I think they appreciate now what we were doing and who we are. Whereas before it may have been taken for granted, or they may not have seen and understood like they do now. So
yeah, no doubt. Your situation, and you're a lot like Shanice and Isaiah. They get together. It's like two comedians. They troll. They both witty. They do it. They get together, and the rest of us be looking at them like, yo. And Isaiah be walking around like I told you at Tech, man, with the tank top on, the portable speaker. Chips, was just loud FaceTiming people. And I'm like, man, it's almost midnight, bro. He's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, yo, all right. But is motherhood, you seem to be having fun with this. Is it fun? Is it fun?
It's fun. I love it.
Wow.
If there is anything that I am confident in it's myself as a mother. I am confident in my role as a mom, and I love being their mom. We have challenges, there's so much that comes with parenthood. There's a lot of highs and there's a lot of lows, and all of it, like it's been great, and great in terms of like, even through the challenges of parenthood, like I can see how I'm being refined, how I'm growing, how it's making me better, so it's like, it's just a blessing. It's been a blessing, even in the hard times, even through the tears, it's like, I love it. And it is fun. And every emotion too.
Yeah, no, it's dope. I love it. I love hearing you say that, because I've learned that, the work-life balance, and you talk about how at times you feel like a single mother. Shanice told me that one time, and I resented that statement at first, because I was like, what you mean? I ain't no absentee father. I'm doing this. She was like, no.
Right.
I take pride in the fact that I helped you build Victory Life, but while you were doing speaking engagements and traveling and doing and leading this and podcasting and broadcasting, I was here, and I had to really sit with that message and understand it. So I respect you not taking it as a negative, and I know Lauren understood it eventually, but I appreciate your transparency, and I think when people see this, they're going to appreciate it. When you talk about Highland Springs, 5 state championships and several state championship appearances, several guys, 1 year Lauren Johnson and his staff, because he's got a great staff, put 23 guys into the collegiate level, on the collegiate. 23. I remember watching the ceremony. The stage was like a Wu-Tang Clan concert. It was people, chairs everywhere. East Carolina, HBCUs, Oklahoma, UVA, right? When you look at it, do you sometimes, when you and him are driving home and you're processing it, do you think, wow, like, babe, like we're part of something bigger than us? Do you ever have that out of body experience, that moment, like, God, we thank you, this is amazing? Like, do you ever just take a second and appreciate that?
Absolutely, more than people would think. That right there is the goal. And so, how can I say this? It's so important to have a vision. It's so important to have a vision, and to know your vision and to be able to execute it. And that's something that we talk about all the time, because the vision and the goal, there are goals. Like you want to, again, win games, you want to win state championships, but to see to see all of those young men's lives change, because a lot, I would say more than half of them wouldn't go to college without football. They wouldn't have left Highland Springs without football. To be somewhere different, to get an education, to use football and to catapult you and your family to another place. And it's humbling, to say the least. And so we don't take it for granted at all. That's why I said earlier, we won't move, we won't leave until God tells us to, because we know that we're here for a purpose. Like, we know that this is ministry. This is not just a job or a career. This is ministry. And I know that I think what's even more of a blessing on top of all of that is when they come back. They come back and they tell us, when they call us, when they come to our home, when they start coaching for us. Lauren has probably the highest number of coaches. Like, he has a lot of athletes, former athletes, that are now coaching for him.
Yep.
That is very telling. Of course they love football. Of course they want to coach, but I also believe that it's the impact that he had on them. And they want to do the same thing for those kids, for our current, kids. So absolutely. We have those conversations all the time. There are tears, you know what I mean? Just not out of sadness, but out of gratitude and thankfulness that we get to impact these lives. These are human beings. Like, they can go one way or the other. And we have just a small part in that. Maybe not a huge part, but to be able to do that, that's huge. And we'll never take that for granted. We'll never take it for granted.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. I mean, I get chills just hearing you talk about it. That is such a blessing. It's crazy how fast, I'm looking at your sons and Kendall. And I remember, like I joked earlier, when I met Lauren on a visit, and I met you on the track by the gate. I would see you on Friday nights. I met you before that, but I would see you at the gate. Right. And I remember seeing them in strollers, and I remember seeing them at track meets. And then now they're young men. And we were watching the Wake Forest game the other day. I think it was when they beat UVA at UVA. Did y'all go to that game?
We did.
Yeah. Wow. What a great win, man. And then I see Peanut at Tech. I know Tech's going through some coaching changes, but I mean, he's playing when he gets in. Yeah. When you look at your children, Shanice and I take pride in the fact that we come from great households, but we consider ourselves more progressive parents. We have an open dialogue with our kids. We talk about the reality of life. We don't run from these difficult, uncomfortable conversations. I take it you and Lauren the same way with your children?
Absolutely. There's no other way especially this day and age, because just like you, that's how we grew up too. And we talk about that, our parents are great parents. Our parents are amazing parents, but, teaching your children, talking about sex.
Yes.
Talking about sexuality, talking about money.
Yep.
There are so many things that we didn't talk about. There are so many mistakes that I made because I just didn't have anybody, a sounding board. I didn't have anybody to mentor me through those real life situations. And so for us, there is no other way to do it, Yeah. And I think in that your children, they start to trust you, and they will come to you because they know that even if they don't want to hear it, they know eventually, like, dang, my mom was right, my dad was right about this, And they start to see stuff pan out, and it's like, man, I'm glad my parents told me no.
Yeah.
I'm glad they removed me from this situation or told me that I couldn't do X, Y, and Z.
No doubt.
This type of thing. So yes, there's no other way to do it.
Yeah. What about when you talk about you've been around the game a long time, and you started this episode saying, Dwight, I knew nothing about football, blah, blah, blah. You've been around the game now for almost 3 days. I mean, you've been around a long time.
I have.
Do you now look at the game like, oh, man, the safety's got to come over and help the corner? Do you feel like your verbiage and insight, or are you still like, oh, they won? Like, are you?
I'm in the middle. I would say I'm in the middle of that. Like, I pay attention to, what Brennan and Braylon are doing, and if they're doing the right thing. So really, I understand the defense more than anything. But yeah, I mean, I've grown, but I'm not probably where I should be, or other wives are, for sure. when it comes to that football knowledge, that IQ.
Yeah, but I think you know a lot more than even what you're saying. I mean, you've been around the game. You've been around some of the best athletes in VHSL history. What I only almost done. I'm really enjoying this. What is next for you? Even though you mentioned the 804 Highland Springs is your ministry, which I completely agree with. It's definitely y'all ministry, and y'all in the community, in the church. I mean, I love it. I saw LJ do work in Southwest Virginia as a player. I saw him speak, and I remember one time I came to church, the joke was in the pulpit. I was like, what? I was like, man. Then one year he did the praise dance. I mean, I was like, man, you know, and I'm like, man, I know this
dude. You saw him? You saw that?
Yeah, I was there. I came back. Listen, yeah, you know that Virgo memory. I remember I came back, and Lauren, I remember I was visiting. I may have stayed for the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it was? When I came back after I got cut from the Ravens, Lauren was still in town playing for the Roanoke Arena football. Yeah, and I played for the arena team in the Nighthawks, and he was in church. He was doing the praise dance. I remember had his face painted, and I was like, man. But that's your ministry, and you guys have been blessed by it. But long-term question, I don't want to get into the hot take because I know if I say this, it's going to be viral about Lauren Johnson and jobs. I know some of the jobs you turned down, and some of the jobs I have no idea what you're talking about. But I know his name's on the list. But I'm talking about Kimberly, Kim. What do you think is next for you? Do you think you'll write a book one day? Do you think, you want to have a women's ministry? Do you think you'll maybe open up a community center? I know that's a kind of a loaded question, but do you have a vision for yourself once Lauren hangs up the headset?
I do. There are several things. First and foremost, I want to go back to school.
And get your PhD, right?
And get my yes. I want to get into counseling.
Join the team.
You're gonna mentor me.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into counseling. So that's something that's in the forefront. I probably will start that sooner rather than later, even before he finishes. Also, I want to start a program in the schools. I don't know what schools. I don't know if it's Henrico County. I don't know where, but I want to start a program for girls. I definitely want to work with, a certain type of student. So I want to work with a population like Highland Springs, and young women. I think that there's just a ton of lack with mentoring young women to be young women, what that means and how that looks. Especially young Black women. There is such a void and there's such a need for, it's unbelievable to me how many children have people in their lives, but they're not sowing any seeds in their lives. And so I don't really know how it looks, but it's something that I do dream about. I want to start a program, to help them and to just help them grow and foster, womanhood and things of that nature. So that's that. My husband and I also have talked about, doing our own podcast as well.
Let's see it.
We talk about it. And it's, circling around, being this life of being a coach's wife, the challenges, the nuances, the things that we've learned, just to try to pour into people who, are just starting. Like even in our own little worlds at Highland Springs, we have a few coaches who just got married, just starting their family. They have infant children. And so, how can we pour into them so that they can kind of, not go through the same things that we went through, so that they can kind of pass that and they can be, prepared. Because again, it's a small circle. Like most people don't know, or are in close, relation with people who are coaches and coaches' wives.
Yes.
So,
I think that, first of all, that's all great stuff. Especially the counseling piece. You got me, you got Lori, man. So you already know I got your back with that.
Thank you.
I love pouring into the community, and I love being a therapist. I feel like mental health is important on a daily basis. I think you and LJ popping off the podcast will be must-see TV. I feel like you guys are like our family. I think your family would have been great in a reality TV show. With the personalities following y'all around and everything. I mean, Lauren kind of had that with the documentary. I used to always share his speeches. You know how many people would hit me up and be like, hey, man, I just watched that speech, bro. That man had me running through a brick wall. When y'all left for about, I mean, even now, but definitely when y'all first left for several years, I'd be out and about. I mean, not just on the west side of Prince William, Gainesville, Manassas, Bristol. I'd be in Woodbridge, and I run into people at, at the mall or at a game, a 7-on-7 camp, and I'll have on my tech stuff where I'd be like, yeah, I played with Lauren Johnson. Man, Coach Lauren Johnson changed my life. But they also talk about y'all family, which is why I think the podcast will be great, because I think kind of like the Cosby Show, it wasn't about the show, it was about the message.
Yeah.
And I think the Johnsons represent that message. I know they do. And I think you inspire a lot of people. I think it's cool that y'all show how you can be hip and relatable and still be married. You can be open and vulnerable about your faults and mistakes as well as your successes. And I think your podcast will touch on that. And I think it will be great. And you already know I'm like y'all unofficial agent. I'll be promoting that thing.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I think respectfully, this is why I have you on. I think you guys will, whatever you touch will become platinum. I think
Thank you.
That's how God uses people to order, your steps and get people connected. I feel like that's one thing I love about y'all, which is why I want to have you on representing that. We've come to the end of the show, Kim, and I want you to share your final thoughts. Perspective. We've touched on everything from how you met Lauren and how you guys came about and formed the family and all the life lessons. Just kind of in a recap and your final thoughts, your final words, just share what you learned and what you would tell the young Kimberly Johnsons, whether they're coming from Connecticut or Florida or Texas, that are going to be the spouse of a coach, that are going to eventually become a wife, a mother, an educator, a mentor. What have you learned, and what's a few things they should definitely do along the way so they don't lose sight of the ultimate goal and what they want to be? What is your feedback on that?
Oh, wow. I think the first thing is I've always learned if you are considering your spouse or your husband, so I'm talking to the wife, if you're considering him and he's considering you and thinking of you, and you are putting each other in the forefront and not yourselves, you both win. So that's the first thing I would say. It's so important to have community. And for me, I went through a lot of hardship with that because I didn't always embrace community. And I'm saying my inner circle, because there was so much like public scrutiny that I kind of shut people out. But what I learned is that I need people in order to do this thing. Can't do it alone. Can't do it alone. I need to be able to pick up the phone and talk with somebody who gets it and who understands. So being able to be in community with people who are in the same lifestyle as you is very important, and who you can, lean on for support, who you can talk to. That is essential. It's essential. I think that's probably the most important thing. Also, like I was telling you before, I would tell that mom or that young woman who is entering into this life, and it's hard. What I did was I embraced what he was doing instead of shunned it. So once I embraced it, I almost started to love it because he loved it and he was so passionate about it. But I was starting to understand that this is really not about football. Like, it's about the lives of these young children. And so my wrath and my anger, about what I didn't feel like I was getting, or maybe my kids weren't getting, it turned into something else. And so we were now on the same team. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
So embrace. The coach also needs to do the same. So everything that I'm saying, it needs to be reciprocated. But try to embrace This is somebody that you love. This is somebody that you're going to be married to for the rest of your life. It's going to be a fight if you don't. So learn, understand, become a part of, so that it now, because now you own it. You own it just as much as he owns it. This is your thing, not just his thing. So those are the things that I would say. What was your other part of the question? I'm sorry.
No, you answered it. You answered
Okay.
it. Yeah, you
Okay.
answered it. I'm just sitting here. I'm listening. I'm the moderator and interviewing, but I'm sitting here like, this is dope, man. You're 100% right, and I speak for so many people that, Kim, I appreciate you sharing your, opening up your lives to us, and also sharing those wise words, because you did what I knew you would do. You shared the perspective of a coach's wife that many people don't realize. And we could probably go another hour or so, but I know we can't, and we need to get off and log off. And before I sign off, I really want to thank you for being part of this episode in the Victory Life movement. Your family's been a big supporter of my movement, because you embody the legacy that I want to push. And I definitely hope you guys do the podcast, and I definitely hope you continue with your ministry. I speak to so many people in the Virginia Tech and Wake Forest and Highland Springs, Southside, all of Richmond, and a lot of people that admire your family. And we say thank you. Sometimes it's a thankless job, and sometimes we don't know about the traveling, especially having 3 kids who are athletes. Yeah. I know about the late nights and the early mornings, the late night phone calls, the kids in crisis, dealing with mental health. So I know you guys have been there, and there's a lot of stuff. You guys have been in some hospitals, some detention centers. I know. And we say thank you. And I say thank you to you for being a wonderful person and somebody that your kids can look up to and respect. And I can't wait to see what's part 2 of what the next chapter you guys unfold, man. It's been great to watch as a fan and as a family friend. I love all of y'all, and I appreciate you. And those watching, I thank y'all for watching this episode. The Victory Life Movement continues to take off with great guests like Kimberly Johnson. Please get out if you're in the area. Highland Springs, they're in the playoffs as usual, but it's bigger than football. Anything you can do to support them. Kim, any causes or fundraisers or community events coming up in 2026 that you want to promote real quick before we log off?
Oh man, not really off the top of my head. Whatever you can do to support Highland Springs, even if it's just if there is something that you can, and it doesn't have to be monetary. It could be just coming by to talk to our children, to encourage them. If you're a former player, or if you just have words of wisdom, we need that. We need all of that. So it could be monetarily, it can be just encouragement, whatever you feel led to do. That would be what I would ask, and that I would push. We need that from our community. So
no doubt. Well said. And I appreciate you sharing that. And so everybody watching, we appreciate y'all for watching and supporting the Victory Life Movement. Continue to like, subscribe, and share to see great episodes, interviews like this. And like I say, every episode, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, make sure you have a positive impact and you leave a great legacy. I'm owner and founder Dwight Vick of Victory Life. On behalf of Kimberly Johnson, the Johnson family, the Highland Springs family, football family, and beyond, we say thank you for watching and continue to be great. Appreciate you. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.